Latihan baca level C2, nomor 4. Survivorship bias. The stories that data leaves out. During the Second World War, engineers studying returning bomber aircraft noticed that bullet holes clustered thickly around the wings, tail, and fuselage, while the engines remained comparatively unscathed. The obvious recommendation, several officers concluded, was to reinforce precisely those riddled areas. A statistician named Abraham Wald disagreed and pointed out an inconvenient fact the data itself could never reveal. The planes being examined were, by definition, the ones that had made it home. The bombers hit in the engines were not sitting on the tarmac awaiting inspection. They were, in all likelihood, at the bottom of the sea. What Wald had identified has since become known as survivorship bias, the tendency to draw conclusions from a sample that has already been filtered by some selection process, while remaining blind to everything that filter silently removed. The armor, Wald argued, belonged not on the parts riddled with holes but on the parts that were suspiciously unmarked. Because a bullet there, unlike a bullet in the wing, tended to be fatal to the aircraft, and fatal aircraft do not return to be studied. The same blind spot recurs largely unnoticed, well beyond military statistics. Business bestsellers routinely extract lessons from a handful of spectacularly successful companies, implying that traits such as bold risk-taking or unconventional leadership were the decisive ingredients, while conveniently overlooking the vastly larger cohort of equally bold, equally unconventional companies that no longer exist to be interviewed. University dropouts who went on to found billion-dollar companies are celebrated as proof that formal education is optional. The far more numerous dropouts who simply struggled afterwards leave no memoir, no keynote speech, and therefore no trace in the popular narrative. None of this means that success stories are worthless, or that their protagonist choices were irrelevant. Only that a sample of survivors can never, by itself, tell us whether those choices caused the survival or merely accompanied it. Guarding against this distortion demands a slightly uncomfortable habit. Before drawing a lesson from any success, deliberately conjuring the invincible cohort who took the identical gamble and vanished from the record. It is not a particularly natural instinct. Silence, after all, leaves no anecdote behind. And absence has never been especially good at telling its own story.